Good morning, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. My name is Susan Estes with Americans for Prosperity, and my address is 151 South Whittier. Mr. Mayor, when you were elected president of the League of Kansas Municipalities, the city issued a press release and they talked about your comments. You said something that I thought was profound, and it's actually a reflection of something that's very important to me. In your comments to convention, and I'm quoting from the press release, in the comments to the convention delegates, Mayor Brewer called upon LKM members to speak with a common voice on behalf of all Kansas communities. He also urged his fellow local leaders to restore the public's confidence in government. And that's the vein of my comments today. I think that we do exist in a time where there is a lowering of public trust in government across the board. And I think that your comments and also the 2013 guide for city candidates that the LKM also prepared reflected that as well, that that's still a current issue. To quote from their guide to candidates and advice that they give when you serve, they say public servants are the keepers of the public trust. Even the appearance of impropriety can tarnish the public's perception of government. And that's my specific point to you guys today, is when we look at the appearance of impropriety, when we vote to benefit our campaign donors, it takes away the public's trust in what you guys are doing. So I call on you to voluntarily recuse yourself from voting in this if you've received campaign donations from the developers. Mr. Mayor, also, I looked at the Wichita Code of Ordinance, City of Wichita Code of Ordinances, Section 2. It talks about ethics for council members, and I thought this was very relevant for today. It begins by saying council members occupy positions of public trust, and it goes on later to say that the council members shall refrain from making decisions involving businesses, associates, customers, clients, friends, and competitors. And I'd ask you to bear that into mind when you decide whether or not to vote today, as you do vacation with some of the developers that are involved in this project. I just think that we have an appearance of conflict of interest here. I'll be happy to take any questions.
I do have one question for you. And do you believe that that's equally, you have that same opinion, that same view at the state level? At all government level?
Absolutely. There are things that my husband and I turn down because we want to avoid that appearance. And I understand the burden that's on you guys, and I understand that you start working with people and you become friends. And I also understand the sacrifice that you make to serve from your families. I share that.
I think what's important is one of the things that we as policymakers believe in is that, well, not all of us, because obviously I made that comment because you know that we've seen some things that have happened, particularly in Topeka, and particularly with some individuals that view your same views to the T, with the exception of certain things when it becomes convenient for them. The thing is that it's about integrity, and the total amount that you actually see that by law that council members can actually receive. I measure that as if someone thinks that I'm going to turn around and violate my integrity and my values, the maximum amount of $500, they're sadly mistaken. Now, if you as an individual, if that's a choice that you make and that's the dollar figure that you put on your own, then that's your business. And you're the person that has to go to bed and go to sleep at night. But there are a lot of individuals that play golf and spend time with individuals. They hang out, they drink, they go on various different social events together, and no one ever know anything about it, and they never and have no idea it happened. What you're basing your information on is basically what's been disclosed on Mr. Weeks' website. And for his information, I think he needs to get it correct. I've never been to the Caribbean. And most people ask me, can't he tell that that's Lake Texoma? So I start questioning those types of things. The point is, I'm not going to sell my integrity and my moral values, not for any free. It's not for sale. It's not for sale to a friend of mine. It's not for sale for a friend of mine. It's not for sale for a family member. It's not for sale to anybody, because that's the only, my philosophy, and these councilmen will tell you, my philosophy is that, one, that's the only thing that I have. You can strip me of every single thing. You can strip me of my dignity. And you can lie on me if you choose to. But for me, I'm going to keep that. And I am never going to violate it. It's not for sale. It's not for giving it to anyone. So I understand what you're saying, but the exact same thing in the company that you were, the organization you represent, and many others, you know, we all have certain opinions about each other. And I certainly have mine about the organizations that you have. And me as an elected official, I have an obligation to the citizens of this community, and not only that, but to my family, because when those things are actually being said, or they're inaccurate, or somebody spread some type of crazy, outlandish lie, because then my family get a chance to hear that type of stuff. My grandchildren get a chance to hear it. So, but they know that, hey, their grandfather or their father is not that way. So I take, when you make comments like that and try to insinuate that I'm going to sell my integrity for a friend or for somebody that I may go fishing with, you are sadly mistaken. And if you think that I'm going to sit by, and if you think that I'm going to allow you to violate that, I've been calm and I've been patient and I've been tolerant and allowed individuals to say certain things that were not true. At some point in time, you have to do a gut check. You have to say, I'm going to make a stance, and I'm not going to allow this anymore. Now, I know what my attorney recommends, but I have the same right as a citizen, and I intend to start exercising some of those rights. Because, as I said, we're talking about my integrity, we're talking about my values, and we're talking about individuals that think that they can just say whatever they want to say. And part of that is the problem we're having in America, and certainly at the state level. So I think it's important that you hear this, because you're trying to subtly make these allegations, and I'm making sure that I get you straight on what my position is on it.
My bottom line message is that you guys have a responsibility to avoid an appearance of an impropriety according to the standards set by the League of Kansas Municipalities. And your own code says you should not be voting or making decisions that relate to the financial interest of your friends. I do believe that you are a person of integrity, and I'm calling on you to use that integrity to recuse yourself from voting on this issue. So thank you for your time.